All right. Hello, everyone. This is Rod Hill, your digital tech launcher. Uh, this is our late night edition. I switch it up on y'all. So I'm going to go over, hang on one second for me. Let me get situated here. As people come in, I will say hey to you. But this is Teach Me Tuesday. Shout out to Kat for giving us this platform. So what I'm going to go over this evening, I think is going to be very important. Maybe not so much in the beginning, but definitely in the near future, because there's a couple of things you want to know about web hosting. So I think this is going to be pretty quick. So the three main, so what I want to go over is as you're embarking in this business journey and getting your business online. Oh, let's see who's here. Oh, look at Kat. Hey, how you doing? And you want to get your business online, then obviously the first one of the main things you're going to need is a website. Now, I'm going to share three different types with you because many people don't even know that there's a different types of web hosting, especially when they're starting out. So there's three different types. It's shared hosting, which is going to be the most familiar. Then you have what's called VPS hosting. And then you also have what's called dedicated hosting. Most of you guys won't use dedicated unless you get so big in the future where you just need that dedicated space to be able to do all your resources. But I'll tell you about the different ones. So the one you guys hear about the most is shared hosting. Now, people gravitate to this one a lot because number one, it's the easiest to get started with. It's very cost efficient, right? And again, this is like the entry level on getting your business online. Now, there's some pros and cons to it, and this is things I want to share with you. So, the pros obviously is that it's cost efficient, right? Easy to set up, things of that nature. But what you got to understand is that it's called shared hosting for a reason. And that means that you and thousands, could be hundreds, it could be thousands. It just depends on your web hosting company. But you guys are sharing what's called a server together. Now, when you're starting out, you won't see a big difference. But what will happen is eventually, depending on the hosting you have, that's why it's very important to select the correct type of hosting. There's different variations, different, and maybe on the next Teach Me Tuesday, I'll talk about the more intricate parts such as bandwidth, hard drive space and those types of things, because you'll need to know those things as well. But here's the bottom line. You're sharing resources with others. And what'll happen is over time, if you start getting a lot of traffic to your website, and you got to keep in mind the resources too. And that's the thing. I talk about WordPress a lot, but one thing about WordPress is that this is really the reason why you got to have good hosting is because it's resource extensive or intensive. So when you have one website that's WordPress, that's one thing. But when you start doing multiple WordPress websites and you're still on the shared server, what'll happen is eventually you'll use up all the resources that's allocated specifically for you, and then it'll start affecting the other shared websites that are on that same server with you. So you got to be mindful of that. And a lot of times, and it happened to me plenty of times, they'll wind up shutting your website down because of the fact you've used so much resources. And then they'll recommend that you upgrade. All right. So again, it's cost efficient, but you got to be mindful that the cons on it is the resources, and just be very careful on what type of websites you have. You have HTML sites that don't take up a lot of resources, but then you have WordPress and PHP and all this other stuff. But I won't go in detail on this one. Just be mindful of that if that happens, that's the reason why. So the next phase is called the VPS phase, which is called virtual private server. Now, it's still like a shared hosting, but they partition it in such a way to where you are now pretty much it's like condominium, so to speak. So now you're in a condo by yourself. You may not be completely separated, but you have your own space. So you got more, you have more resources. You may have more hard drive space, and you have more flexibility to do more WordPress sites and those types of things. Now that'll come like a little bit later. But you'll know when you need it once you start growing. That's going to be the key to it. Now, that's the pros. Now, the con, obviously, if it is a con, but by the time when you're making money, it doesn't even matter. But it costs more. All right. So that's the thing. But you can do a lot more with VPS. I've had a couple of VPS servers myself. or VPS, services myself. And I will tell you that you can notice a huge difference, especially when you're doing multiple websites and that type of thing. All right. Now, that's probably about as far as most of you guys will go if you even get that far. All right. Most of you all might just operate 1 or 2 websites and be done with it. But for those that eventually have multiple different types of sites that are WordPress intensive and things of that nature, you may have to look into that as well. And then the last one is the dedicated server. The dedicated server one, that's where you have more of your big business, mostly big businesses, but you can have some mid-sized business or even some small business on a large, that's doing big things or what have you that use dedicated. Now that's the most expensive, but you're pretty much in a lane by yourself. You don't have to worry about anyone, using up resources to potentially shut all you guys' sites down. You don't have to, those types of things you don't even have to worry about with a dedicated server. But again, don't look that far down the road. I'm just sharing it with you because next time when you choose a hosting, now you know the difference between all three, okay? So that's about as far as I go with that. Most of you guys will be doing shared serving, which is absolutely fine when you first start out. But just know the next level, if you ever run into those issues that I mentioned, would be the VPSs. That will be the next level, okay? So again, just quickly recap, we talked about 3 different types of web hosting. You have the shared hosting, then you have VPS, which is virtual private servers, private server. And then the third one is the dedicated server. All right. And those are the 3 main ones. So again, this is Rod Hill. Again, I didn't mention that earlier, but I am your digital tech launcher. And what I do, I help entrepreneurs, coaches, and experts with their web presence online, specifically through web design, lead generation components, and social media setup. All right. So until next Tuesday, again, I'll expand on this again next Tuesday. But until then, hopefully you got some value out of this, and I will see you on the next stream. Y'all have a good evening. Have a fantastic and productive week. Take care.